Hi everyone, and welcome to Jane Talks Real. It's Slayer Sunday, where I'll be talking about and reviewing all the episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer in order. Today I'm looking at Season 2, Episode 21 and 22, Becoming. We begin the episode in Ireland in 1753, and it's going to be one of those flashbacky kind of episodes, isn't it? A drunken angel and his buddy are thrown out of a bar, and accents have never really been the show's strong point, have they?
Why don't you rest right here?
He spots a pretty woman, and hey, it's Darla! Remember her? Angel follows her boobs into an alley and clumsily hits on her, but she seems to be into it. She says she can show him the world, but this ain't no magic carpet ride because she noms down on him, turning him into a vampire. In present day, Angel watches Buffy fight some vampires, and we get our first vamp death since the opening of Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered. Wait, make that 2. With both vamps dusted, Buffy picks up Xander from behind a gravestone, who was clearly not much help, and tells him she wants this whole thing to be over with. Angel agrees, and into the credits we go. Giles goes to visit some museum folks to look at their giant relic, and he's very impressed. He takes some scrapings and points out that whatever it is designed to be opened, but says to wait to try to open it until he can translate the text.
You don't want to be surprised? As a rule now.
Xander recreates what happened last night, which I only mentioned because Oz is finally back! We haven't seen him since the whole naked Buffy rap fiasco. Buffy assures Willow that she's ready to take out Angel, and what is that on her top? Is she bleeding or did she kill someone on the way over here? Xander and Cordelia have a cute moment, but ass-face Snyder comes in to break it up, tells Willow to get off Oz's lap, and when Buffy makes a comment, he threatens her with expulsion. Are we sure he's not the big bad of the season?
Because you're a tiny, impotent Nazi with a bug up his butt the size of an emu.
Yes, Queen! And now we're in London in 1860, where we see human Drusilla go into confessional and admit to an unseen angel that she's been having visions again. Angel cruelly tells this poor woman that she's going to hell, and she begs for forgiveness. In present day, Drusilla says something terrible is coming to the museum, and Angel is amazed by her vision. Until Spike points out she read it in the newspaper. Willow is helping Buffy to study for the finals, but when her pencil falls, Buffy picks it up and narrowly misses the disc. But something tells her to do it again, so she does, and this time she retrieves the disc. Willow puts it into the computer and they realise just what they're looking at. Now it's 1898 and Angel is running like a little bitch as the gypsies perform his curse. His soul is restored and he can't remember anything, but this dude is like, don't worry, you'll remember soon enough and it will royally suck. Buffy goes to Giles with the curse and oh boy Willow, what are you wearing? How many pairs of Nana's curtains had to die for that outfit? Giles says he doesn't have the power to do the spell, but Willow, who's been dabbling, thinks she can do it. However, Giles warns that it could open a door that she can't close again, and he's not wrong. Xander jumps up saying Angel's a killer and he deserves to die, and Cordelia backs him up, although she seems to have a pair of dangly earrings hanging from her boob. A big argument breaks out which Buffy puts a stop to, and this whole thing will be repeated in a much later season, but with Xander taking the opposite stance when it's his loved one's fate on the line. A museum dude hears strange whispering coming from the artifact, and it's the last thing he'll ever hear, because Drusilla kills him. Angel steals it, although how is he planning on getting it home, and what is this goofy face? If the rest of the episode wasn't so important, I would totally use this as the thumbnail. Buffy's on the phone to Willow as she gets ready to patrol and comes across the ring Angel gave her for her birthday. She heads out only to be jump scared by Kendra.
You know, polite people call before they jump out of the bushes and attack you.
Her accent hasn't improved, and she says she's been sent because of the artifact problem. Speaking of...
It's a big rock. I can't wait to tell my friends. They don't have a rock this big.
Angel exposition dumps for Spike and the audience, but I'll give you the abridged version. A Cartler tried to swallow the world, got stopped by a knight and turned to stone. Open her up, boys!
Let me guess. Someone pulls out the sword.
Someone worthy.
The demon wakes up and wackiness ensues.
See, Spike doesn't like overcomplicated things either. Wait, now Giles is exposition dumping. No wonder this is a two-parter. Basically, a Cartler will open a hell portal and all non-demons are fucked. Got that? Good, moving on. Buffy says Willow should try the curse in case she fails to kill Angel, and then Kendra pulls a mystical sword out of her ass as the backup plan's backup plan. Giles handily has an orb of Thessala lying around that he's been using as a paperweight. Boy, remember when paperweights used to be a thing? And says that Angel will have to perform a ritual to wake a Cartler, which will buy them some time. Back in Asshole Central, some dude is thrown before Angel as he performs the ritual and kills the shit into him. He's about to pull out the sword when 2 years ago Manhattan decides to interrupt the proceedings. Angel, who is seriously down on his luck, is approached by some dude Whistler, who invites him for a walk. He says he's a demon, but a very neutral one, and tells Angel he can become more than he is. But first, he needs to see something. Whistler drives him to LA, where he sees Buffy, who was clearly a Cordelia clone before she was the Slayer. We see the moment when she learns of her destiny and her first fight with a vampire. And this show is just trolling me now, isn't it? What is this outfit? After a few failed attempts, she manages to dust her first ever vampire. Buffy is not a fan. Angel watches as she's told off by Joyce, and we hear her and Hank arguing, signalling the beginning of their divorce. Angel tells Whistler he wants to help Buffy and goes off to train. And now we're back to the sword pulling again, but nope!
Someone wasn't worthy.
Angel is pissed and says they need help from an old friend. Buffy has taken an exam when a vampire walks in, tells Buffy to meet Angel in the graveyard, and then bursts into flames. Okay, so 2 things to take away from that. 1, which graveyard lady? There are 12! And 2, the stunt woman who played the vampire is Cindy Focuson, known for her fire stunts and is the most set on fire woman in Hollywood. Now that is something to put on your CV. Buffy says she has to go to the meeting, and I seriously used to have a cushion made from the same material as Buffy's coat. She tells Kendra to stay behind in case something happens, and hold the phone. Is Xander actually wearing a nice jumper today? Before she heads out, Kendra gives Buffy Mr. Pointy, her lucky steak. But taking Mr. Pointy is what got her into this mess to begin with. But anyway, she goes out and meets Angel while Willow does the curse, and oop, now there are vampires! A lot happens in a short space of time, so I'll try to cover the important bits. Cordelia and Willow run while the others fight, but Willow is smushed under a bookcase and Xander gets his wrist broken. Ouch! Giles gets knocked out and Xander tells Cordelia to run, so she does, while Kendra finally stakes a vampire. Buffy goes to stake Angel, but realizes she's been tricked.
And you fall for it every single time!
And the guy's got a point. She fell for the old bait and switch in When She Was Bad. Kendra gets surrounded by vampires, but Drusilla calls them off and the 2 women fight, which is the first time we've seen Drusilla in action, and she does not play around. She hypnotizes Kendra and then slits her throat. Holy shit! The remaining vampires drag Giles away as Buffy makes it back to the school in this pretty cool shot. She finds Kendra's body and is busted by the cops. Although wait, before we continue into part 2, what is this and where did it come from? Because it sure as hell wasn't there a minute ago when Kendra and Drusilla were fighting. Anyway, the police are here and Buffy tries to run to Xander but is restrained and marched away straight into the path of Principal Snyder. He instantly blames Buffy without knowing what's happened, and she does not take it well.
You stupid little troll, you have no idea.
She asks to know if Xander is alive or not, but the cop arrests her, and what is sheep? Buffy punches the dude and runs like hell, making her a fugitive. But who is this cop? Do I know her? She looks familiar. She's not in anything notable for me. Maybe she just has one of those faces. Buffy sneaks into the hospital in her best hat disguise and is delighted to see Xander still intact. Well, mostly. He breaks the news about Willow, who has suffered a nasty head trauma, and Buffy blames herself for letting Willow try the curse.
Angel must have known.
Buffy tells Xander to call Oz, and Cordelia comes in, admitting that she ran scared, but Buffy assures her that it was the right thing to do. With everyone back together, it suddenly dawns that Giles is missing, and he wakes up with Angel in his face. Giles asks what he wants, and Angel says he wants to torture him.
The last time I tortured somebody, they didn't even have chainsaws.
Angel wants Giles to tell him why he screwed up the ritual, but you know, torture first. Buffy goes to his house looking for him, but instead she finds Whistler, who was upstairs doing what exactly? Buffy is not in the mood for any of his bullshit.
If you have information worth hearing, then I am grateful for it. If you're gonna crack jokes, then I'm gonna pull out your ribcage and wear it as a hat.
He asks what she's prepared to do to stop Angel, and then says she's always going to fight alone. But Buffy don't got time for that, and she leaves. She makes it a little way, but shit, it's the Fuzz, and she's about to get arrested again when Spike comes to the rescue. She attacks him, but he calls a truce, telling her that Angel has Giles and he wants help stopping him. Buffy is skeptical, but Spike explains that he doesn't want the world to end because he likes it here, and all he wants is Drusilla back. Buffy is not impressed, and they smack each other around, but Spike reminds her that he's all she has, so she reluctantly agrees. In the hospital, Xander pours his heart out to Willow in a really emotional and touching scene, which is worth checking out the episode for. And when he tells her he loves her, she stirs, only to call out for Oz. Oz does indeed show up, so Xander leaves them together to get a doctor. And this is just the cutest. Buffy and Spike get to her house just as Joyce pulls up in a panic, wanting to know what's going on. But no time for bullshit explanations because out jumps a vampire, which Spike helps to fight before Buffy stakes it. What are the chances that Joyce didn't see that happen? Joyce asks Spike why he looks familiar.
You hit me with an axe one time.
And Buffy comes in, talking about killing Angel. In front of her mother. Real smooth, Buffy. Spike finds out that Drusilla killed a Slayer.
Hey, good for her. Though not from your perspective, I suppose.
And Joyce is relieved to hear that Buffy wasn't responsible. Buffy and Spike strike a deal. He'll help her kill Angel in exchange for a free pass out of town for both him and Drusilla. Joyce tries to be helpful.
I mean, have you tried not being a Slayer?
Thanks, Joyce. Before Spike leaves, Buffy warns him that if Giles dies, so does Drusilla, which I think is absolutely fair. Joyce blames herself for what happened and wants Buffy to explain it to her, but she says she doesn't have time. Joyce demands that she stops being the Slayer, and Buffy rants about her fate.
Do you think I chose to be like this? Do you have any idea how lonely it is? How dangerous?
It's a brilliant performance once again from both of them, and when Joyce tries to restrain her, Buffy pushes her, causing Joyce to give her an ultimatum.
You walk out of this house, don't even think about coming back.
Buffy leaves. In the hospital, Willow decides she wants to try the curse again, much to Xander's protests, and Oz realises he's totally out of the loop, so Willow sends him with Cordelia to pick up her stuff, and Xander to fill Buffy in on the plan. Having been very, very tortured, Giles decides to give in and tell Angel what he wants to know.
You must perform the ritual in a tutu. Pillock.
Yes, Giles! When Angel loses his temper, Spike rolls up and suggests a much less permanently bloody way of getting the information they need. Buffy goes back to the library, and what is with this chalk outline? This isn't even close to how or where Kendra fell. She grabs a bag from under the table just as Snyder shows up and expels her. Buffy pulls out the backup plan sword to show how much she extremely doesn't care, and Snyder puts in a call to the mayor, who will absolutely get involved next season. Drusilla does some voodoo mind tricks on Giles, and then hypnotizes him to see her as Jenny. Giles is fooled into admitting that Angel's blood is the key to waking a Cathler, and they kiss, which Drusilla enjoys just a little too much. Buffy goes back to Whistler to ask him about something he said ages ago, and he explains that if the portal does open, Angel's blood will send him and a Cathler back to hell, so better get on that. The next morning, Buffy is on her way to storm the mansion when Xander catches up to her. He's here as backup and is about to deliver Willow's message, but he changes his mind and says to kick his ass. Angel begins the ritual again in trousers that draw all the focus to his Akathla, but Buffy interrupts by beheading this fool. Angel says she's not got a chance because she's outnumbered, but Spike, true to his word, evens the playing field. Drusilla dives on him to stop him, while Buffy fights another vampire, and a lot happens again, so here we go. Xander jumps into the fray to help, Spike punches Drusilla, Willow, Oz and Cordelia perform the curse, and Xander finds Giles, who thinks he's another hallucination.
Then why would they make you see me?
All right, let's go.
Buffy finally dusts her opponent, although who knows what took her so long, and Angel takes the opportunity while everyone is busy to pull out the sword and wake a Cathler. Both armed with swords, the pair get into a pretty cool sword fight, which is sadly lessened by the two very obvious stunt doubles during the wide shots. Willow gets kinda possessed doing the curse, leaving Oz and Cordelia with no idea what to do, and wait a minute, what is that? That's either Sky, in which case Angel should be baked to a crisp as it's daytime, or it's the blue screen outside the set that accidentally got in the shot. Spike strangles Drusilla unconscious, which makes no sense seeing as vampires don't need to breathe, and he carries her out of the series for the time being, leaving Buffy at the mercy of Angel. He thinks he has her, but don't fuck with Buffy Summers, and hey, that is Sky! Not enough sunlight, I guess, but the classroom vampire bursts into flames with the same amount, but whatever. There's sunlight getting into Spike's car that should be killing them both too. Buffy's about to land the killing blow on Angel when Willow completes the curse and Angel is restored. She holds him close, but with the portal opening, she knows what she has to do. She kisses him goodbye, tells him she loves him, tells him to close his eyes, and then runs him through with a sword, sending him to hell and, I know it's coming, but it makes me cry every single time. Buffy, completely heartbroken, stops by home, and Joyce goes to her room to find she's cleared out her stuff and left home. The Scoobies regroup, speculating about where Buffy is and if the curse worked in time, while Buffy gets on a bus and leaves Sunnydale for good. Now, before I discuss the episode as a whole, I'm going to start at the end with the music. During the climax where Buffy sacrifices Angel, their theme tune, Close Your Eyes, plays, which, as I've said before, is a beautiful piece of music that adds to the emotional weight of the scene. This show's use of music is very well done, which is why so many moments throughout really hit hard. However, I find that non-diegetic songs with lyrics feel out of place in this show, such as the song playing after Angel is lost, Full of Grace by Sarah McLachlan. There is something about it that feels tacked on and out of place, especially when you compare it to diegetic songs in the show, most notably Goodbye to You in the season 6 episode Tabula Rasa. But enough about the soundtrack, let's talk about the story itself. Obviously, we've been building to this moment for quite some time, with a trail of bodies, and Buffy saying she's ready to kill Angel, and it did not disappoint. This two-parter was action-packed, so we've got a lot to cover. Yes, I don't like flashbacks, but putting that aside, I really do wonder how necessary they were. We got Angel being sired by Darla, which we already knew about, Angel mentally torturing Drusilla, which we already knew about, Angel getting cursed by the Gypsy tribe, which we already knew about, and an introduction to Whistler which seemed redundant because he didn't add anything because Kendra provided the sword and Giles already had the lowdown on a Cartler. I think the time would have been much better spent having Kendra be brought in before the 20-minute mark and learn more about her story so that her death carried more weight when it happened. Plus, I think Drusilla hypnotizing her was a bit cheap because Kendra has not seen her at full strength before, so a prolonged battle between the two, with Drusilla coming out on top, would have been so much more awesome. Xander goes on a really interesting journey in this episode, and you can still see the effect Jesse's death had on him, because he really, really hates vampires. It's refreshing to have someone be like, no, Angel is a murderous asshole and he deserves to die, which is further propelled by his choice to withhold Willow's message from Buffy, which could have changed the course of the events. Cordelia feels very much a part of the gang now, and her remorse for running instead of helping really shows her growth as a character. But it's annoying to know that this will all come unravelled a handful of episodes into season 3. I remember the first time I watched this episode, I was super relieved that Joyce found out about Buffy being the Slayer, because I wanted her to get more involved. And while again I'm thinking about an early season 3 episode which bugs me from a Joyce standpoint, their relationship is much more enjoyable with her being in the know. We finally get the start of Fun Spike, who really comes into his own in season 4, but it's nice to revisit where it all began, and his more relaxed, humorous side is a nice contrast to Angel's dick-faced behaviour and Drusilla's loony ramblings. We also get a small hint at his and Joyce's friendship as the seasons progress, which is a fun little highlight. But what really makes this episode so well written is the fact that they have built Angel up to be such an unredeemable, hateful character. But the second he gets his soul back, you're screaming at the telly to please let him live, and it kicks you right in the dick when you and Buffy realise what needs to happen. With such strong acting across the board, this episode packs an emotional punch, which sends the season off with a bang and proves just why the show is so damn good. We have a record 12 deaths to add to our count, and spoiler alert, Angel isn't one of them. This bloodbath consisted of 3 humans, the museum guy killed by Drusilla, the rando dude used as a sacrifice killed by Angel, and poor Kendra and her dodgy accent who got her throat slit by Drusilla, killing her first ever Slayer. Our one transformation is Angel, of course, sired by Darla, and we have 8 vampire deaths. This dude and this dude, both staked by Buffy in the opening scene. This guy who newly recruited Buffy managed to eventually kill. This lady who burst into flames as a message from Angel. This lady staked by Kendra, but not Mr. Pointy. This guy staked by Buffy in front of Joyce. This guy who got his head chopped off, also by Buffy. And finally, Buffy was at it again and took down this guy. That brings our total for the season to 26 humans, 9 transformations, 36 vampires, 1 zombie, 1 mummy, 4 demons, and 1 monster. Next time we'll do a wrap up of season 2 and look at how our deaths stack up from the series so far. So there you have it. That was Becoming. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, or come say hi on social media. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit that like button, it really does mean a lot. Or consider subscribing if you want more videos like this one. Thank you so much for watching, I'll speak to you soon, and don't let the vampires bite.